नादरीन, आप देख रहे हैं क्राइम टाइम न्यूज। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त खैसर खान, ब्यूरो चीफ क्राइम टाइम न्यूज। हर तरह की खबर से जुड़े रहने के लिए हमारे चैनल को लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और देखते रहिए क्राइम टाइम न्यूज।
ఈ టేబుల్ తిప్పండి Excuse me, can I leave this?
It's tremendous all across India. But for a startup to get through the valley of death, to get the ability to see through to a real solution and bring it to market, I think is incredibly important. We're excited to be a part of that. We've got an entity similar to the ones that you mentioned that Boeing and Airbus have. We have what we call LM Ventures. And when I first joined Lockheed Martin, it was in the space business. Actually, it was a really exciting move for me because that's one of the things that was a catalyst of my interest of being a mechanical engineer in the first place. But it gave me a kind of a view into how Lockheed Martin engages with startups. And so we look across our business areas from aeronautics, missiles and fire control, rotary and mission systems, which includes Sikorsky and our space business. And we're trying to find those startups that have technologies that we can't necessarily, we're not developing ourselves, but that would make our solutions that much more effective for our customers. And so that's my interest in being here.
Intersection of three things. It's the intersection of the U.S.-India partnership, it is the intersection of defense, research and development, and then finally it's the intersection of entrepreneurship. And so, you wonder, well, why is the U.S. Consulate funding this? And the reason why is because the partnerships we create with you today will help create tomorrow a more prosperous and peaceful Indo-Pacific. And besides, I like some of the great names, whoever has Big Bang Boom Solutions, kudos to you. So basically, you were, I think, at the right time in the right place. And I say that because when we go back to even as soon as 2008, U.S.-India defense trade was at zero. And in 2020, it was 20.
Who am I? I'm actually a mechanical engineer by training and by passion. And so I'm really excited to be here and to be able to interact with you today and tomorrow. Secondly, I've lived in India, I think, about 8 of the last 15 years through several roles, as you just described. And I first came to India in 1996. So I have a perspective that I've kind of evolved, over the decades I've been in and out of India. My wife is originally from Rajasthan, from Jaipur. I met her in the U.S. So that is part of the impetus that keeps bringing me back. Now the kids are all in college. But I first was introduced to Hyderabad when I was here for the opening of the first airport, sir. So, for sure, I really want to applaud you on that because the growth in city was transformational. And I think in any country, in any city, an airport like you have here and then others that are around, CFM joint venture, they set up their training center here. I remember that actually, and that even preceded the JVs that now are over 10 years old. So that's a tremendous foundation. We also established a foundation with the Indian Innovation Growth Program way back in 2007, IIGP as it's called, where we were working to invest, to incubate, accelerate, mentor, and support startups. It led up to, I think, over 400 agreements that were reached through that, or at least incubated, supported through that, for a value of almost $1 billion. Many of those startups have been recognized by the Ministry of Defense as well. And now IDEX as a I'll call it a vehicle through which you can really accelerate the engagements of startups in defense We really need to think about what is India Innovation Growth Program 3.0. We modified it a few years ago, adding Tata Trusts, but we really see the need to help and work with startups just for this, which is fantastic. On the other hand, some of you have said, oh, when I introduce myself to you, say, oh, I'm just a startup. Well, we're all startups here, right? But I want you to notice who is here. Organizations all interested in this. So the idea of what you're doing is important. And ideas doesn't have to come from older white men, right? That's what we're talking about, youth, and from Andhra Pradesh and women-based. Ideas are not that are valuable to companies and to organizations in moving our defense cooperation forward. There are no boundaries for that. So don't sell yourself short. They are interested, and they've shown that interest here, and that is a real interest from the government side, from the private corporation side, from the organizations like GEO. Everybody's interested in helping you because you have this new innovation, these new ideas that can power that next level of competition. So we're very glad to have you. Congratulations. We're excited that we have so many fantastic, powerful organizations and government organizations to help you. So let's work on this. And thank you again. Congratulations.
Because there have been a series of agreements signed between our two governments, which allows us to more closely share technology. So this is a really great opportunity. As far as place, we're talking about Hyderabad, which is, you have Rich, and so there's so many things going on. And then finally, what has the U.S. government done? Well, we've worked with our implementers like ACIR, there you are, and Eric, and so, we had, it seems like before COVID was like another century, but I was here 2 years ago, which seems like 2 centuries ago, and we had the U.S. India Defense Ties Conference, and as an adjunct to that, we had a Defense Entrepreneur Conference. And then we also had an entrepreneur conference with Andhra Pradesh women. So the whole Telugu-speaking region really is a hotbed for innovation, and that closeness comes because we see 200,000 Indian students in the United States roughly, and a plurality of those, an increasing plurality, are from the Telugu-speaking areas. And in fact, Telugu is the fastest growing language in the United States. So again, very exciting opportunities, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. So good luck, because I think over the next 2 days, you will have a wonderful opportunity to interact with defense majors and learn best practices. And someone had mentioned the valley of death with entrepreneurs. I love that term because it's scary. What you're doing is scary, but I think you are creating the emerging technologies of tomorrow, and that's not done in a vacuum. It's done by this type of networking. So with all that, congratulations for being selected and being involved, and I wish you a very successful conference. Thank you.
Whenever I get a chance to interact with the startups, this is one of the comments that they make, that Hyderabad has such a thriving industry. There are so many global companies, Indian giants here, but typically we find it very difficult to access them, to get their doors open to startup ideas, startup solutions. And on our part, we try as much as we can. For instance, some of you would be associated with T-Hub. In T-Hub, we have, for the past few years, a very dedicated vertical that focuses on corporate connect, etc. But despite all our efforts, we do feel that much more can be done. And in that background, this initiative of ACIR is extremely welcome. We have seen for the last 2 years, the national government also, the Ministry of Defence, running a program called IDEX. Some of you might have participated in it. And my colleague and colleague member from Telangana cadre only is leading it in Delhi, Mr. Sanjay Jaju. And I remember when IDEX was started, I guess it is 3 years now, or maybe 2.5 years. One of the first meetings that happened here in Hyderabad, at incidentally the T-Hub. And it had appeared very, very exciting. And he told that normally defense manufacturing is considered to be very kind of secretive, very sacrosanct, except for some. No one else has access to what kind of thinking do they have, what kind of vision do they have. But when he explained that IDEX actually will be looking at solutions, first of all, the problems that the defense PSUs face, those will be listed, those will be opened up, and newer ideas beyond the problem statements will also be solicited from the startups, etc. It appeared very exciting, and I know that 2 rounds of IDEX have been completed. I know that some of the startups come here, and this can be a very good platform to have a continuous dialogue with the OEMs and the bright startups here. So I look forward to a very fruitful discussions throughout the day. I guess it spills over tomorrow as well, isn't it? So it's a 2-day event. Look forward to your active participation, and at the end of it, if there are any suggestions, etc., if you want us in the government to help you in any other way, we already have, many of you would be aware that we have this institution called RICH, which also helps startups who want validation from many of these labs that exist in Hyderabad, R&D centers in Hyderabad. If you want any kind of connect with them, RICH does that. And in the recent past, we have connected quite a number of startups to ARCI. ARCI has supported many of our startups in multiple ways. So any kind of support and help that you look for from our very thriving innovation ecosystem, please feel free to reach out. And I would request Rama also, after the 2 days, just give me a sense of what direction this whole thing is taking. Yes, grants at T-Hub. So good things are happening, and this in some ways perhaps possibly will consolidate and give us a new direction of how we take this forward. So thank you.
Hi everyone, good morning. So, very good morning and a very warm welcome to the Defence and Aerospace Workshop 2021. Thank you all for being here. We'll begin with opening remarks from our eminent guests. First we have Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary, Government of Telangana. Mr. Jayesh Ranjan is the Principal Secretary of the Industries and Commerce and Information Technology Department of the Telangana, developing policy frameworks, attaching new investments, identifying opportunities for utilizing IT in various government processes, and promoting the digital empowerment of citizens, and Vice Chairman of the Hyderabad Urban Development Authority. In various rural assignments in different parts of state for over 12 years, working in diverse sectors like tribal development, natural resources management, poverty alleviation, and other related social development sectors. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. I invite you to please share welcome remarks with us.
Close your lips. Hold your breath for a minute.
Guys, please. Excuse me. A little closer. Sorry, a little closer. On the back side. Look here, sir, everybody. Smile. Smile, everybody. Yeah.